Welcome to SB 405D Project Management. My name is Felicia Frida and Aqua. I'll be taking you through this unit 4, Project Human Resource and Communication Management. Specifically, we're going to look at session 3, which looks at developing and managing your project team. By the end of this session, you should be able to explain project team development and discuss the ways of managing and leading a project team. So when it comes to project teams, they actually depend on each other. Like I made mention in the earlier slide, a team is actually a group of people who have complementary skills and they work together to achieve a set target or activity. And you realize that when it comes to team, because we are complementing each other, there's that interdependency which is also at play, and so they share authority and responsibility for self-management. They are accountable for the collective performance. So in a team, when something goes wrong, it is the whole team. It is not A or B. Who is it? It is the whole team. It is the we and not the I's in there, and they are accountable for the collective performance. They work towards a common goal and share the rewards as such. There are 5 key points or phases of every team development. There's a forming stage where we are now coming together, typically like an orientation something. We are now coming together into the organization. We are all now knowing about our roles, our responsibilities, and all those things. First time encounters, people are very nice, people are very comforting and all those things. It's like your first time at work and they've recruited about 10 of you or 20 of you. When you go, you're all nice to each other, everybody's at their best behaviors and all those ones. That is at the forming stage. At the storming stage is when we are now beginning to start the work and you see people now bringing their real colors or their true colors out. And around that time, you realize that some people have more attitude, some people are lazy, some people are, at that point, people's true colors are now showing up in there. And you realize that work is not really at the most. Then we have the norming stage where now we begin to accept each other's differences and we begin to argument together. So now you know that those people, that's how they are, that's how I can work with this person to achieve my results. Then you have also formed that sort of balance in there, so you now know each other a bit more to work with them. Then performing is where you're actually being able to really do the job, because around this point you know each other very well. It's like when you start level 100, that forming thing is there. By 200, 300, people have already shown their real colors. By 300, you know how to work with them, and by 400, it is a whole class, like a collective class, teamwork, and it's not just individual people or some people just trying to do their own stuff. So performing is where you actually see the work being done, because we know each other's strength and weakness. We know how to work with each other. We can even be work independently and still be able to augment each other all the way there. And then we have the adjourning. Adjourning is when we are done with that task or that activity, and so we can then close and then continue another time. In developing your team too, there's a need for you to do team performance assessment. Most projects don't tend to do this, but it's very, very important. So it said the project team makes formal and informal assessment of project team's effectiveness. And this assessment actually helps us uncover complementary skills and common team building problems that might actually be experienced in the execution of the project plan. So yes, we need to be able to actually look at the complementary skills and team building problems which are actually coming up, because don't forget that team is all about complementary skills, which is augmenting each other. And so we need to be able to see whether we are on point, we are not on point, are we meeting our targets, and are we being effective and efficient as well. All these things would have to be looked at in there. So the enterprise environmental factors updates are also key, because factors like personal administration, employee training records, skill assessment are all needed for us to be able to update the human management plan. So these are very, very essential in there as well. So in managing your project team, yes, you need to be able to influence your project team members. You need to, as you're a leader, you need to find out, how can I get these people to do what they are supposed to do, when they are supposed to do it, how they are supposed to do it, and with that sort of vigor they need to be able to do it. You need to look out for the professional and ethical behavior. Yes, everywhere we find ourselves, whatever we are doing, there is what is legally accepted, there is what is rightfully accepted, morally right, and you need to look at all of these ones. We need to look at building trust, especially because each person depends on the other. I'm trusting that A would be able to do this particular thing for B to be able to also continue to do this, and C is also going to use that input to do something else. So if you don't do your part of the job, then the work becomes what? Stagnant. And so trust is very important. Even though it's a bit hard to trust humans, you need to be very careful and you need to be able to build that trust in your team members for work to really be able to go. And we need to do constant appraisals. Appraisals are very key. Whether it's performance appraisal at the individual level or at the team level, we need to be able to look and see whether you are on point, you are not on point, what is causing you not to be functioning properly, how do we solve it. These are very key. And once there are humans and there are more than one person, obviously conflict is key. Conflict is always going to come up. What is conflict? Misunderstanding, miscommunications, all those things, they cause conflict. Conflict is not necessarily bad, because when there is conflict, people are able to actually air what is really troubling them or what they are really keeping in there. However, it's about how it is managed. If you don't take care and it is not handled, or it goes extreme, there may be distractions, and before you realize, people are hurt emotionally, physically, psychologically, and the implications affect your project. However, you'd have to be able to manage conflict, and so we looked at conflict management earlier as well in the avoidance, negotiation, all those ones. Do well to revisit your notes on that as well. And in managing our project team, yes, project change requests also come in there, because sometimes there are staffing changes, whether by choice or uncontrollable events, which can actually affect the rest of the project management plan. Project document updates, which is the detailed changes to requests that are approved to be affected in the project human resource plan. These are all things you'd have to take into consideration when you are managing your project team. And so in this session, we have explained what a team is, the difference between a group and a team, and I made mention that it's a group of people who just have regular interaction to do something. But when it comes to team, the emphasis is on complementary skills, who are accountable together as a team, and then they are able to achieve the set goal or target. And we've looked at project team development and ways in managing and leading your project team as well. Thank you.